Guys, welcome to Hope Channel. Thank you for tuning in to The Identity. My name is Samuel Mangedan. To thank you for joining us into this discussion. Now, The Identity is seeking to identify with Christ in all the walks of life. Today, we'll be discussing about makeup for cover-up. We have different walks, you have different hardships in life, but most of us seek to have a makeup to cover up for an inner pain. In my panelists today, I have Israel Okoth, who is a professional psychologist attached to Turning Point Center. We also have Christopher Morara, a linguist. Next to him, we have Brenda Malanya, a forensic scientist. And lastly, Yvonne Alfreda, a professional musician. Join in the discussion on our social media platforms, that is The Identity on Facebook and on Instagram at The Identity 254. Join in and let's get to interact to learn more about this. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I hope you guys are doing amazing. You guys look amazing. Now, I want to start off with you, Israel. Yes. You know, makeup has been used to in this discussion, because we are still talking about depression. But then we human beings, and especially youths, do have very many attempts to make up, just to cover up for the pain. Is this so to everyone, or is it for some few people who don't want to share their pains?
It is as subjective as the person, because some people do it to look like others. Some people do it so that they don't show what they want to hide. And most of the time, because we've been talking about depression and this and that, some people might not look depressed, but they are depressed. So you see that the use of makeup will be as subjective as the person. Okay. So that you want to hide from what you don't want to be seen.
For the sake of the viewer, this makeup is not just the makeup that we did, but then this makeup could be even drinking or some effect that comes from depression.
Correct. The makeup might be to look the part like everyone else. There's a party and you have to be there. Your presence has to be felt. Everyone else is doing this, so I have to do it, so that no one can realize that I'm falling out. Yes.
Brenda, let me come to you. You know, some of these attempts which are made, some people, like if you have been down the road of depression, you might think that nobody knows, you know. But are these attempts visible?
Well, it depends. Firstly, for the majority, it's not easily visible because, hey, we are used to you, so I mean, unless you're a very keen person and you keenly follow up with the person who is undergoing depression, you wouldn't even take notice, you wouldn't even bother. Be like, hey, you're good, you're awesome, you okay? Fine. Let the party start. So for most, you wouldn't easily notice, but until you get someone who really digs in and pieces two and two together, then that's when it will be so visible, it will be screaming out loud.
Chris, are these the false, are these the truths that you formulate by ourselves, or is this a new thing that people develop?
It's a new thing people develop, given that, you know, before you fall into certain depression, you have an idea about yourself. You are like, I am as tough as a nail. This thing cannot bring me down. Yeah, and you know, people know you as outgoing, or you are not outgoing. People know you for who you are. But now a tragedy comes, and you are down there, and you have to keep up the image. What do? You make up something for yourself. You tend to live up to your former self, and yet you cannot make up that situation. So you tend up to make up, which you cover up for what you have lost. But inside, you are truly hurting.
And I want to bring you in, Yvonne, because makeup has been discussed, and we do not want to go on to the discussion, is makeup good or bad? But then in this discourse, makeup, how does makeup play a part in covering up a particular image one has?
When you talk about makeup, in the sense of makeup, jewelry, makeup, foundation and all that, you find that For example, you find a lady who's been undergoing depression, stress, has been crying out the entire night, and in the morning they wake up with circles around their eyes, so they end up covering that up, putting on bright colors to cover up the pain that they're having behind that, and they put on a big smile and they're elegant, and you'll feel like there's nothing wrong with this person. But when you remove that mask, it's actually a mask that they put up, that's when you get to understand, wait a minute, those eyes have circles, that person has not slept. Because people cover with eye drops, things like that, so that you cannot be able to really see the pain that this person is going through. Yeah.
So it's even possible that this makeup are used to cover, for example, if it's a lady, she probably has a black eye.
Yeah.
A guy probably
Yeah.
hit her.
Yes. Many people have been beaten, even media personalities. We've had stories going around that someone was beaten and they will do a particular hairdo to cover it up and put a lot of makeup to cover it up. It is possible to cover it up. But makeup has been used a lot, especially by ladies, to cover up the pain that they go through. Yeah.
So bringing you in, Israel, that not every person who's working on makeup is really enjoying, or rather wants to bring out the attention of who they are, but they're covering something in.
Correct. You will want help, but you think it's not the right time. So, as my sister said, you put on a mask and you hide everything inside, and you are trying to sort it out yourself. Because if you found somewhere to go and get help, then you will not need the mask. So you're trying to sort it out yourself. And the longer you put on the mask, the worse the situation gets. Yes.
It's about time that we should just get away with the makeups. Let's be real. Let's be raw. Chris.
For me,
yes.
before you continue, there's something about, we're talking about makeup, but also there's the makeup of putting up a wall. There's a particular character that you bring up and you borrow from something else and act it out. You know the way they say fake it until you make it? So you fake it that people get to see, this is a person in a happy bubble. But in reality, that is a mask. That's a wall that you've put up so that people can be able to just see that, so that they cannot get through to what is happening inside, the layers that have been piled up.
And I think this is a call to all of us that let us not be quick to judge people who are in makeups. You know, you are quick to say, hey, that lady is in a lot of makeup. We probably don't know what this girl is going through.
A walking cosmetic
A walking cosmetic shop. Some will even say that she's like a walking billboard because she has a lot of paint work on it, isn't it? So let us not be quick to judge.
Yeah.
Instead, let us understand the reason behind people, let's say that in this case, ladies are going into makeup. And it's probably a lady who does not do makeup. You know, let us be aware. You know, and as we progress, I want to bring in Chris. Somebody will see it and say, this is just for ladies. Makeup is just for ladies. Men, we don't do makeups, or do we?
From where I sit, men are the people who do a lot of makeups, actually, away from the beauty side of it. You see, being a man in this century is so hard and tough. Being a man, let's say 20 years ago, it was a bit easy. You could know your duties, what to do. But now, pressures of life are so many. There are pressures that come from outside and within. There's the pressure you yourself, you say, by this time you have to do this. And there's a pressure from other person telling you, the society demanding that at this time you should do this.
Giving it a direct example, at let's say at age 23, at age 24, you should be done with your degree. And if you have a supplementary, or probably you have a strike, you will be done. You'll be doing your degree in 26, and that could be a cause of depression. Continue.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for that example. You see, not forgetting that all of us, we are running our own races. Now, what happens in that situation? I, as a man, I will have to make cover up, and for me to cover up this situation, I'll have to make up. And actually, that's one of the greatest barriers for people not bouncing back. Actually, for you to be resilient, you have to be true to yourself.
Very
if you have a scar, you have to go and wrap it up well, not to cover it up. So as men, especially as men, we cover up a lot of things just because of the pressures that is laid on our shoulders from the society and from within ourselves. Yes.
And I think it's also about time that we are supposed to be keen, because men have this facade of being the knight in shining armor, looking all macho, you know. But then it calls upon the inner circle, so to say, the people who are keen to realize, by the way, there's something off about Sammy, you know. And something that can be said about when you can also add voice to this is that men don't like being approached and, you know, are you okay? Please add voice, Israel.
By the way, when we're talking about this makeup, all this makeup issue, it is a step of compensation. Okay, and it's easier for us to say, hey, ladies, this and that. But for guys, it is there, but it is different. When a guy suddenly, okay, for the ladies, it might be the makeup because they're trying to hide something. For guys, it is inside. So they're trying to also hide that thing. They will try and compensate. So a guy will just go all out and start shopping because they're trying to buy a solution for your emotional problem. Okay? A guy will just try to be more manly. Maybe I'm feeling this because I'm not man enough. So I start rolling with a different group of boys. Compensation. A guy will start drinking or get into substance because I think when I look at these guys, they are cool. That is compensation. Now that is how guys do their makeup. And it all comes down, tumbling down.
Yes. I think it's also keen that we should all be aware. Let us all seek to address issues from the cause. Because most, just as to add voice as to what you say, and again, you can also borrow from what you shared with your experience, is that people will come with effects of depression, not the causes. Not the causes. You know, you have a guy who's into drinking, you know, but then he's coming to you with a problem. You know, I have a drinking problem, but truthfully speaking, this person is depressed. This person is broken. They have just not come to terms with it. Now, I would like us to progress and go into something that is associated to another form of makeup. And to let me now direct this to ladies. Is there an association of dressing, esteem, and depression? Brenda.
I think this is it's very deep in the sense that in the pulpit, a minister will come and say, character is everything. So, you know, to a lady, you're like, okay, character is everything. But meet the same minister out of the street. He will look at the appearance first, truthfully speaking. He will look at how you dress, how your shoes are, how your hair is. So at the end of it all, if you do not strike to that particular person, you will go back to your closet and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Am I not good enough? Do I not dress enough? Do I not have the latest Ankara? Do I not have the latest shoes? You know, and at the end of it all, it makes you feel worthless as a lady, because there's nothing as bad as a lady's self-esteem being punctured. And once your self-esteem is being punctured, that's the end of it. That becomes the beginning of you spiraling down, because once your self-esteem is punctured, every other area of your life is equally affected.
Chris, before we bring Yvonne, what is it with men? I mean, I stand victim to this. You know, I'll be probably here telling ladies, you know, dress in a particular way, you know, in this case an example, dress in a good long dress, you know, avoid makeup and all this jewelry. But then when I see Yvonne in a short skirt, I'm like, whoa. What's up, y'all? I've seen.
Behold.
What is it with men?
That's the same question I'm asking myself. What is it? You see, we have to appreciate the fact that men are visually driven. When we see, you know, there are so many, even deep down as a Christian, you know, some people come with the argument like, I'm just appreciating God creation.
That's actually an argument that there has been for long in the society.
Like you are appreciating nature. Why don't you see the mountain and you go like, wow? You see, but you see, such a person is driven by wrong motive. I remember the story of David. You see, David, when he fell into sin with Bathsheba, it it starts with sight. Yeah, a lot of sin that we engage in starts with sight, and that's why David, when he was repenting, he said that he has made covenant with his eyes not to look lustfully woman. That's why even Jesus Christ said that if you see a lady and you lust after a lady, you've committed adultery. So what is it wrong with men? I'll say it's all about motive. It's all in the mind. You can train your mind to an extent whereby you will not go wow to a lady in a miniskirt, but you'll go wow to everything that God has created. Yeah, appreciating beauty and nature. And actually, I can testify to this, that for a person well grounded in scripture and biblical truth, that will not be wow. Actually, that's a source of depression. If you see a lady in a miniskirt, you are like, does this person really understand what he's doing? Yeah, the souls she's endangering unknowingly. Yeah, so I think it's a question of how have you trained yourself? What do you feed on? What do you think about? Yeah, so it depends from man to man. I can't say it cuts across the board. So it's a question of how what to feed your mind on.
But one thing that you can say clearly and outrightly, which is out there in the public, is that men have been this, I wouldn't say sole perpetrators, but then have been taking part in fueling the length of the lady's dress.
Yeah.
In the sense that I would see Brenda today in a long dress and be like, oh, you look good. Tomorrow I'll see her in a less and like, wow, you know, and that will be a point of, oh, yesterday he said wow. Tomorrow I want him saying, now I am thrown. Now I am, isn't it?
Yeah.
Please, that
Yeah.
voice.
When you're talking about self-esteem, most people who suffer from self-esteem always like some sort of assurance that there's something good about them. And the moment a guy comes and tells a lady, you look marvelous, the day you don't have makeup, you're dressed down, you're easy, no one will comment or say anything about you, the way you were asking and also you was talking about. But the day you're dressed a bit scantily, someone comes and says, you're looking so good. In Kenya, there's a language called Sheng, and they say unakafiti in a way that, wow. And the next thing you're in groups, youth groups, and they say that's how to dress, that's how to look, that's how to slay, that's how to look good. And you find ladies now want to get into that box so as to be told they're looking good. They end up forgetting that even the way they look normally is good, but because of lack of the reassurance among our brothers, help us here. When someone looks good in a simple, good looking dress, just tell them they're looking good. Because ladies already, most of them, because of magazines, Hollywood and all that, there is something that has already punctured their self-esteem. They have to be size 0 to look good. They have to be light-skinned to look good. They have to do their hair in a certain way to look good. They have to have crazy-looking nails to look good. They have to wear particular clothes, specific clothes to look good. And so because of that, the puncturing that has already happened psychologically from what they watch on social media, it has spoiled everything. So as Christian men, when you're able to appreciate a lady who is looking good, simplistically looking good, please, you can help them in our day and age. Just try and help them out.
Israel, let me bring you in. Is there a correlation to somebody who's depressed and how they dress? Let's speak in light to ladies, and then after the break we'll be getting into in light with men. Is there a correlation? Is it that somebody who's dressed skimpily has some sort of esteem issue, has some sort of depression issue of a particular level?
Number one, you need to understand that esteem is value. So when we talk about self-esteem, we're talking about how do you value yourself? Do you know your value? And in this case, esteem and depression are directly and indirectly related. Because in one case, low self-esteem may cause depression, and in another case, low self-esteem may be caused by depression itself. So that you feel like I'm not good enough, you feel like I need to do something else, you feel like I am not woman enough, you feel like I am falling out from the bandwagon. So at the end of the day, you start trying to look different. because you realize by being normal, no one is noticing. So you have to go all crazy. And then when you go all crazy, everyone is talking about you. So you become the heart of the party. So there's no party that goes down without you. Number one. Number two, you become the person everyone talks about. You know, you say that even negative publicity is publicity.
Yeah.
So that is a problem.
And I think also to add voice to the discussion as we go to the break is that there's a close relationship between dressing skimpily and esteem. You know, and I think that we should create that difference, because there's somebody who's going to say that in my family it's not really an issue to dress in a hot pant, or is it the case in the African society, Brenda?
The African society has so many how do I put it, so many prerequisites. So for like the typical woman, most of them you have to be curvaceous, so you have to dress your body to accentuate your figure. So if you do not, if you decide to dress in another way, for example, if you've been convicted, I'm an Adventist, I'm meant to dress modestly, and still no one looks at you, then you go back to the African society and they appreciate your gait or your posture generally, So you end up, wearing something that will show them curves. And then afterwards, you will hear someone say, "You look good. You really look amazing," And then someone slides into your DM afterwards, and "Can I have your number? Can we go out?" Afterwards, you'll feel, okay, so why was I dressing like an Adventist before? And I never got the attention. So I can just slip back to my former self and enjoy the attention that I am currently, because the attention is what we really crave for. It's what feeds us to a large extent, truthfully speaking.
And I think, again, it's a call for us, the inner circle will tell, the inner circle will tell, the people who are keen will tell, the people who care will tell, because there are people who feed on somebody's downfall. Chris, is it true, or is it just an allegation?
Yeah. It's true, but before I answer that, I also wanted to respond to what she said. Yeah,
please do.
You see, my brother talked about compensating something. Like ladies crave for attention, which truly they deserve it because they put their best foot forward.
Preach. Hey, man. Hallelujah.
Did you just turn feminist a few seconds ago? But bring it.
But the problem we have, as I said earlier, is what we feed our mind on. A lot of times we spend our time watching Hollywood, not Hollywood. The moment we spend, my sisters talked about social media, we spend much time on Facebook that takes our face away from this book. That's the moment we start now getting the other side, whereby we want to dress to fit the other people. That's so that we may get the attention from other people. But let me say that this compensation, it's compensating for something that it's not solving the problem. Actually, in itself, it's creating two problems. So the issue here is first solving what you are lacking, the deficiency you are supplying with this attention you are getting. Because at the end of the day, yes, you'll get the attention, but the problem will still be there. Yes.
Amazing. And there's somebody who will sit and say, yes, it is the ladies, but truthfully, men also do this. Men also go out their way to do A, B, C, D. We'll get to discover what the A, B, C, D is after the break. Please stay tuned and interact with us on our social media platforms. Send in your views, your comments regarding this discussion. See you after the break. for tuning in to Hope Channel. You're still watching The Identity. Thank you for following through the discussions, and I would like to encourage you to interact with us. If you have questions, comments regarding this discussion, slide through to our social media platforms, which are going to be displayed on your screen. Now, before the break, we had alluded of the ABCD that men do, but before we get to the men, I think it's proper to bring Israel, to bring in some of the attempts that people make to cover up, so that there's a viewers going to watch and probably say, yeah, that's me. I think it's about time I should know. Be keen about this. Israel.
Yeah, true. As we shared earlier, that when we're talking about this case of makeup, it is just a story. It is a case of compensation. That you know you're not feeling well, but you think you should not be feeling like that. And then because of the Android generation, we have everything on Google. Everything out there. So you go and check and check and check. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have this. So it's just a case of compensation. A guy who will try to buy his feelings back, go and buy a new car, you feel bored with it, go sell it, buy a new one. You're depressed, brother.
Buy a new watch.
Buy a new watch. Yeah.
In fact, let me not. Yvonne,
Yes.
what do you think?
I think it's not only on makeup, physical makeup, that happens. You may find someone might decide to hit the gym to really cut out on weight, so that, yes, I bring up the attention that I'm looking for.
Ideally, the motivation is not to be fit, but is to compensate, as he
Yes,
said.
compensation. You may find some people might go on some crazy diets, others end up being anorexic because of things like that. You find that some people who will literally just change the environment that they live in. You end up even throwing away some friends in the name of they're not helping you out in life. And at times, you know, because you're going through depression, and you know probably that Sami knows me too well. So because he knows me, let me push him aside so that he does not discover what is going on, because you're not even ready for the help that you're supposed to be looking for. So you end up pushing some friends aside to look for new, cooler friends. You may find that you may end up changing your career. Like there's some people who change careers all over the place, so as to try and find the compensation they're looking for. That emptiness, because depression also comes with a lot of emptiness, so you're trying to fill it. So you look for all kinds of things so that you can fill in what is happening.
Also, to add into it is that sometimes you can even get to see people who are which will be more, which it is more like a sign. You'll get to see people putting on their posts, is it or is it a bit WhatsApp or Facebook, that fake friends, you know, I'm cutting people out, you know, it's more of a threat that they're putting out there. It's more like they're doing a rain check on people. That's a person, you know, you can see that he's going through a particular, you know, that we can also say that. Now let's come to men. Chris, you know, men, you know, we are the people with a big chest written capital S, you know, I'm the guy. But then you also have our makeups that we do. We also have our attempts to cover up, and I think one of them that we had discussed earlier on is drinking. You know, and those as I bring in one of the, I think that has also come into my mind a few minutes ago, is that some of us as youths tend to want to pull out from our personalities. You know, for example, I'm known as a sanguine, a triple sanguine. But then, in a particular day, I feel like I want to be a choleric. You know, I'm stern. It's more of you want to. You already have a false image you want to put yourself in. You know, you have a self-image that you want to put out there, which is not really you, which is not who you have been for the past 20, 30, 25 years. And I think that also stands out. Chris.
Okay, thank you. Personally, I agree. You see, mood is adaptive. On numerous occasions, people have really misunderstood me. Like when I'm silent, people may think I'm mad at something, or something is disturbing me. Or when I'm mad at something, people may think that, hey, I've gone crazy. Or when I'm happy, people may think, hey, this guy has taken one for the road. But what I can say is that we all go through different types of moods. And a time comes when this mood crash, this system crash. And that's why we have depression. When while mood is adaptive, depression is maladaptive. But there's nothing wrong with you going through these cycles of feelings, because yes, we experience them and we are human beings. At times, yes, you may find you are a sanguine, but there's a situation you become a choleric, but that doesn't mean that you're choleric. That at that point, that dominant characteristic of being a choleric is needed. But generally, yes, you are not. But when you're doing a cover-up, that's when you tend to be a sanguine, and yet you're not a sanguine.
It's like you're trying too hard.
Yes, and also important to note is that makeup is not bad. Actually, it's a positive thing, but it becomes negative when we are covering up something. I will encourage makeup, like you make up go to the gym so that you may be fit, but you're not covering up for something which is the deficiency or compensating about something else.
We could say you're going to the gym just so as to deal with what you're going through, not to cover it up. Not to be like you're pulling a blanket to cover yourself up, but then you're fighting out the emotions so that you can be able to be in a stable ground.
Correct.
Israel.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris, what you've just said. That depression is actually a mood disorder. And by the time you reach the disorder part, the mood is every day. I will wake up and I feel like I needed 1 more hour of sleep. I will be grumpy. That is mood. But when you reach the disorder part, it means that there has been some stress you didn't deal with. So that's why even when you come for us to give a prognosis, you have to show a number of behaviors for a period of 14 days. So being sad yesterday and today is not good enough. But you being sad and cutting people out and being just dark for 14 days or 10, that's enough. So when someone is just sad for a day, they are sad. This earth is too dark for you to be happy all the time. You should be sad a bit, so that at least you need Christ. Okay.
Very
so
true.
yeah, and other ways that we might just be talking about covering up and think it's always bad. Sometimes we cover up in good wrong ways. Okay. Because I feel like I'm not rich enough, I have to work excess that you're always doing overtime until I think your boss goes like, I think you should slow down. But you see, the more you're doing this work excessively, the more it's wearing you out, the more it's making things worse. Some people will also compensate by thinking, I think I have problems because I'm not spiritual enough. And then you start going on fastings. Amen. Praise the Lord for that. That's good. That's good. But you reach a point where you open the Bible and you know everything Ellen White says in SOP, and you know the Latin meaning of every single word. You know the Hebrew, the Greek meaning, but you miss the Christ meaning. You miss what Christ meant when you read that word. That is depression. And it is a good thing, but it's not solving the problem. Yes.
It's about time that we should realize. You know? Brandon.
Allow me comment. You know, when he mentioned people not being spiritual enough, I think, truthfully speaking, it affects many of us. You know, you go to church, happy Sabbath, happy day, with a good smile, you go chorister in church, you go minister, you know, you go serve food with all the smiles. But when you go back on Sabbath evening and you realize, oh my God, I feel empty. As in, this was just a show. And truthfully speaking, you admit this was just a show. You know, at the end of it all, you're like, okay, let me just do this for routine so that people don't discover I'm depressed. So every Sabbath, every Wednesday Vespers, every Friday Vespers, you put on an act. You even like sort of rehearse it. You know, happy Sabbath, happy day, how are you? How was your week? It was good. It was so I'm so sorry. It is well with your soul. You know, you've actually rehearsed it for real. Then you go, at the end of it all, you sit down within the confines of your closet, and then you ask yourself, is it worth it? At some point, you're like, is it even worth it to go to church anymore? I cannot keep up with this act. I can't. I'm just not spiritual enough. I might quote everything. I might, you know, I might give you every quotation. If it's State of the Dead, if it's the Sabbath, if it's the New Millennium, name it. But you go back and you're like, I'm not good enough.
Wow.
And you know the worst part is, theoretically, you know, God is going to come through for this theoretically. But practically,
You
you're
don't
like,
believe it.
I am washing my hands. I cannot do this anymore.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yvonne, let's now get into what happens in society. You know, you have probably seen people making these attempts. What are some of the attempts that you've seen people making up to cover up? A real attempt.
A real attempt to cover up. I always don't like using people's examples. I like using myself because I'm answerable to myself. So I remember there was an episode we did and I talked about my situation. And I remember there was a time I would wake up in the morning, smile the entire day. I'm good at smiling. I love my smile. Go to sleep, drown my pillows in tears, wake up again the following morning until I took tutorials on how to do makeup on myself. And so no one would notice except my dear father. My father happens to also be a psychological counselor. And I remember one day he asked me, do you have someone to talk to? And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? I've made, you know, I have this act right. So no one is supposed
You've
to
done
read.
it for the longest
Yes, no one is supposed to read through this. I'm good. I come home, hi guys, what? We eat, we do that. And at times I miss meals for a long time. And I'm watching my weight. I'm watching my weight. I have to look good. I look good. And it's because I didn't feel like eating. I'd wake up, I'm not a morning person, so I sleep in. Someone will come and find me, curtains drawn, I'm looking all grumpy and all that. That is when people are not around. When people are around, I have to put up the act and I put it right. It has to be perfect. I do my makeup right. I do the perfect shade of lipstick, the perfect shade of eyeshadow, because it's all in the eyes. And the eyes are the windows to the soul, as they say. So you have to do it right. And the moment you have covered all that, and he asked me that question, and I pulled back. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you are my daughter, number one. Number two, I know you cry yourself to sleep. Do you have someone to talk to? And you know, it did something for me, definitely. It changed how I perceived things. I talk to my dad like my friend. Those who know me know my dad is my friend. And but unfortunately, there are not many people who have that particular situation. So if you're going through that, now let me just not talk to you, let me talk to the viewer. If you're going through that, try and find someone to talk to. Because makeup will not kill the pain. It will hide it, it will not kill the pain. It will just, it won't even dampen it. Dampening comes with drugs and alcohol and all that. You wake up in the morning.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, those ones will just, it will just dampen it. But makeup will not finish the pain. Find a way, find help. And I want to believe you've put numbers on the screen so that people can call. At least there's someone you can relate to in the panel that we have. You can even call our host and say, I need help. Find someone to talk to. I want to believe that we can be able to save souls by this.
I strongly believe that. I'm hoping that whoever's watching is going to relate to this, you know, because we youths are suffering, you know. But let us not live to our father's mistakes, because we have broken fathers. We have broken families. That's because they were never attended to when they were going through this situation on their young. Chris, what is another form of makeup that people go through, especially men in this case?
Other forms of makeup, men tend to become violent. See, men, we are not, very few men speak a lot. A lot of men tend to be reserved. And when something comes and triggers a catastrophe and they are depressed, the one way to make it up is being violent. You ask this person a very simple question like, good morning. And then this person is like, how good, what's good about my morning? When someone tells what's good about my morning, you will not engage in any conversation with this person.
I even ask, how's your week? The answer will be, can you manage?
Can you manage, you see? So this person is making a hedge around himself so that other people may not access him. But you see, at the end of every day, you go as men, especially men, me included, at the end of the day, you go to your bed and you do what you call, you evaluate your day. And you evaluate yourself and you are like, this day, have I lived to the principles that I profess? You see, you are living two people and you're one person. You're one person, but you're living two people. How can you live a life different from what you believe in? So that conflict crushes your spirit day in, day out. And the sooner you realize it, the better. Talking about the way out, I think acceptance plays a bigger role. You have to really accept where you are and know that, yes, this is me and this is my situation. And number two is looking for help. The major problem we have is that we look for help in the wrong places. And that way, it makes us to sink more into the depression levels that we are in. So speaking, especially men, speaking out your situation doesn't show that you are weak. Actually, it's a sign of strength to say what you're going through. So accept your situation. Number two, seek out for help. And people like my brother are better placed to guide somebody in the journey back to the discovery.
Brenda,
Sami, before, there's something that you said, just a minute. And when you're talking about seeking help, I know we have said call the number, and there's some people who are not in even that position to call. They're in a situation that is so badly off that they can't call. There is also the option of a friend who has noticed a friend has gone off the grid. You can actually reach out on their behalf. I want to believe there's a way they can reach out to psychologists or counselors, that they can come even and take home visits and stuff like that, because there's some people who are so depressed, who are in so much pain that even these cover-ups that you're talking about is nothing to them, that they've gone numb completely. So I want to believe that there is someone, there's a family member, there's a sister, a brother, a cousin, a friend who can actually reach out on behalf of someone else.
Let's be it's more of let's be a brother's
keeper.
Brenda, let me dig into your experience, having that I know you personally. You know, there are some you know, attempts that you made. Would you care to share with us?
That's give me a well, it's still surreal for me, having come through it recently. But I think for the longest time, I am the person who goes out for everyone. Hi, how are you? Okay, you're good. You know, you check out on everyone. So it so happened that my phone had issues. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to repair it. I'm not going to do anything about it. So I went off grid for a whole month. So I just go home, go to work in the morning, go home, not eat. My mom will ask me, why are you not eating? Sina appetite. So to her, probably she's like, probably amekula nje. So I'm like, okay, you continue with that line of thinking. It became a routine. So one Friday evening, I go for Singspiration in church, and a friend pulls me over and she asks me, Brenda, what's up? I'm like, what do you mean by what's up? I am okay. I am here for Vespers. I am okay. And she's like, Bri, you're not okay. You are not okay. And it's, you know, it now crashes in. Everything now just weighs in and you just break down. And I'm like, I do not know. I do not know where to start. So she pulled me over and she was like, I haven't been seeing you for a while. You know, you don't come to events anymore. You don't call people anymore, you know. And I was thinking, well, at least it worked for a month and nobody bothered to check up on me. Nobody. On Sabbath, you know, like, happy Sabbath, happy day. And then you run, you go, you look for anything else to do. You just don't want to be on the spotlight anymore. You don't want to be on the limelight. So after a while of releasing all that pain, she told me, Brenda, I think you're depressed. And I'm thinking, what's depression? You can't tell me, as in, it's so un-African. I mean, what is depression? Probably it's just a mood, you know, but back then all the signs were showing, yeah, it's depression. So I ended up cutting people off. You know, it's a song right now, but back then it was it was very serious. For someone who is very friendly to start cutting everyone off, that's something very major. So you cut people off. Your relationship with your parents is not okay. You don't feel like eating. You don't want to sing. You don't want to go to church. You just want to lay in your corner and sleep and cry and sleep and cry, repeat until it becomes part of you. You know, at a point, depression becomes part of you. Like it's really ingrained in you, and you do not know anything else apart from depression. So mostly, if I could say, I didn't, as in, I think for me, the attempts you talked about for me were the opposite. I didn't dress well because I'm like, I'm not good enough anyway, so why bother? I'm not gonna dress well. Too bad. I don't care. You know, I'd leave my hair shabbily the way I want. And then, you know, naturalistas, you can get away with that excuse. Shabby hair, it's a new trend. Deal with it.
Team natural.
Team natural. Deal with it. So, and then I stopped eating. Like probably I just have like a meal a day, or if I decide I can junk, like I stress junk, go to town, look for a chicken spot, then you eat, and then you're like, yes, and then you avoid people. You avoid people by all means, especially your friends. You avoid them because, especially if there are those, like as she said, there are those people who know you so well. So you're like, let me push you away. I don't want you to know what's going on. You'll judge me. You don't understand me. I'm the one who's going through this alone. So you do not understand the pain that I am going through. So you just stay there, stay in that corner. When I am ready, I will pull you back in.
So for you, your attempts to have that makeup worked pretty well until that moment that your friend, you know, pulled you through. I want to bring you in Israel as you give your counsel in regarding to this and very many other times that you've shared. What would be the take home for somebody who's watching right now in relation to what you've discussed, the makeup for cover up, even for men who cover up genuinely, like I'm building a concrete wall.
Well, interestingly enough, as a professional, I also went through depression back in school. But I thank God that there was just that one good friend. Just that one. And strangely enough, tables turned. He helped me through my depression, and then soon enough, he was in depression. And then I was the one who was there for him.
Amen.
So basically, people in depression just need just one person. You don't need a crew. You don't need a bundle of your body. You just need one person. One person who will not allow you to sulk. And he will not leave. That is just it.
He will stick there with you.
Who will stick there. You cannot. You cannot.
Very
You cannot.
true, very true.
So
I mean,
basically, as a person, you need to desire to be that person, because you don't know if this is the person who will come through for you after that.
And I think just to borrow to what we have all discussed about this is that, you know, there are very many things that we youth do, you know, to try and look the part,
Yeah.
be that person, you know, that you already know, you know, be that ideal guy, that ideal woman in your head. But then truth is that we are burning, we are real, man. We have blood, we go through life hustles, you know. It's about time that we just need one person. Be keen to notice these makeups. Be deliberate and intentional when you're going to talk to Sam, to talk to Chris, to talk to Brenda, to talk to Yvonne. Don't to go there as a trial and error. Because once that Pandora's box opens, you need to be there.
Fully.
You need to be there. Because if it goes out and then nothing comes back, no support comes back, that's even worse. Get to interact with us on our social media platforms. If you have a question, if you have a comment, share with us on our social media platforms. There's going to be a number on your screen that is going to be, if you need help, you know, reach out. talk, because that's going to be the start for you to recover. Thank you for being with us. You've been watching The Identity. Until next week, be blessed.